Hey everyone, Joe Manuer here. Thanks for joining me for another video where we're designing this Lotus Yoga app. In the last video, we finished off the badges that you can see here for the library page. We did all the conditionals. We set up all the data. We set up the workflows for when someone completes all of the acro yoga classes, for example, and all the classes, all those conditionals. So in this video, we'll be moving on to the next part of this libraries page as we aim to finish it off. So what else do we have going on this page? Well, as you'll see on the screen here, we've got the activities, which includes the total practices, the total time, a calendar, and a list of exercise history. And in this exercise history, just zooming in a little bit, we see the title of the class and how much time was spent in that class and the date that that class was taken. So if you think about what we need to do to make this happen, pretty straightforward. Those are all things that we should be able to accomplish, except I will say here ahead of time that the calendar function for the free plugins, I'm trying to keep this class free. The free calendars, they don't let you choose a date in the past to be able to display, unfortunately. So let's see if I scroll back to the calendar here. So this portion we'll leave out, but I wanted to share something from. So this is like kind of an optional feature, and let me know if it is something that let me know in the comments if it's something that you think is important to build in your app. It's something that I can add in later, perhaps with a paid plugin for folks that are willing to pay $20 or something for a plugin that could allow calendar functionality more so than just the standard bubble one. So, but I have this other stats page up. This is for Headspace, a meditation app, and so you can see in their version of this, these stat pages are very common in apps because they kind of encourage people to I guess take a moment to reflect on, oh wow, here 46 hours meditated type of thing. See some stats, and so this is some stats, and then this is basically they kind of in this the way that they're displaying it here in Headspace, they've split it up into two different pages, right? Those stats were very similar to this total practices, total time that we see here on the Lotus Yoga one, and they have a timeline, and they also have here the title, the date that it was taken, and so on and so forth. So what's up here? Basically, what I'm saying is that we're going to build this out in this video, and we're going to skip the calendar. So, and just showing this there's no calendar view in this one, and this is Headspace is a very popular app for its niche of meditation. So, if they don't have a calendar, we can feel just fine without pushing to have one on ours. So let's take a look just to bounce back a touch here at our first elements that we want to build. So it looks like we want a title. I want to pause this, try and get this paused. Okay, here we go. So we got a title for activity, we got total practices, and total time. So let's go ahead. Last time, we dealt with a lot of data first. This time we're going to just build the elements themselves. So I'm going to take this profile, copy and paste. And I'm actually going to take this take a moment to refresh this page. Just maybe we can get it running a little bit faster. Check on a few things here. Yes, okay. I am connected to a quality internet connection, supposedly. All right, so what else do we got going on for this? We need activities or practices. So basically, we can check, the same way that we built the conditional for the badges group that has a person, for this first badge, to have when that play button is clicked, we change the value related to the user, so we could do something like that. So let's just drag this down and text activities heading, and then let's drag in a group, and we're going to use a group because a group allows us to work well with responsive. So we do not want that to be fixed with, and we will select collapse this element's height when hidden. So what that does is when this page is hidden, we'll have a collapser down here, but it'll also collapse this as well. So what do we want to do? We want to get these set up here. Okay, so I guess if we give these an extra 10, so 130, if we take this back by 10 and then go 130, and then we give these a little bit of roundness, say 5, looks good. What does 10 look like? 10 looks a little better in my opinion. Okay, so we are going to go with this pink color for our text, and I believe over on the class preview group we've got that text that we can copy and paste for this text. And what do we want to say? Total practices and total time. So I'm going to take this text and not fixed with, and I'm going to center horizontally. I am going to make this one fixed with. No, I take it back. On the iPad, we want it to still stretch. So let's see if we can get a little bit bigger, and we want this to be total practices. Looks good. Maybe let's make that bold. If this is 130 wide, let's go ahead and make this 110. And then center horizontally. And 14. Just leave it like that. Maybe give this a height of 20. And then paste that over here. Center horizontally, and total time. Okay. So the total time is a value that we actually already have. So this one will be easy. We'll also, let's see, we wanted it 110, center horizontally, looks good. So what do we want this to say? This is text total times value. So we want to go for the current users. Remember where we made this one is that the total time in seconds. So we want that. So if they've done something for 600 seconds, that is also the same as 10 minutes. So we need to divide by 60 from our total time. And then I'm going to add a space and put minutes. And that looks good. And then that is quite the large font there for 0 minutes. So I think let's get it darker and bring it up pretty big. Let's try 24. Let's take that. We got good styling here. And this is total practices value. And these are, okay, just a number, just a value. But we do not have a piece of data for this yet. So what do we need to do for this total practices? Basically, anytime someone clicks a play button, any user, where we want to store this under the user, because if you think about it, when someone's logged into the app, user 1, user 2, user 3, if user 3 has clicked the play button 10 times and user 2 has clicked it only 5, and user 2 is accessing this, we want to see user 2's data. So it makes the most sense to tie it to the user. So we have total time in seconds, and we'll do, these are classes. No, that's a total time in seconds is a number. This is total classes taken. That would also be a number. So easy. What we want to do then is, all right, let's think about this. So we have this class preview page. Whenever this play button is clicked, it takes us to play the class. So there's 2 ways we could do this. We could click this when this play button is clicked, which we already have a workflow doing that for the total number of time, or adding up the amount of time. No, sorry, it starts a timer and then it adds when you close that out with that X. Let me pull it up on the screen. I'm just speaking things. Let's get a visual as well. So what we have is, let's look at this workflow. So we start a timer, and then we make changes to the user, saying that they've taken their first class by clicking this play button, and then it's the video player group that with this, when this is closed out, what happens is that we stop that timer, and then we take the current user's total, whatever that value is, if it's 0, if it's whatever, and then we add the timer A's duration, and then I think I want to do something that I didn't do before. I want to reset the data. Okay, so I can't actually access the. Trying to think for this timer. The timer lives in the. All right, I'm gonna ignore that. What I'm doing a little sidetrack here is that I was thinking that if the timer reaches, say, I don't know, 120 seconds or something, and then somebody moves to a different class, and we want the timer to reset. So we'll look into that at a different point. But for now, what we want to do is we want to make a change to the current user, and the field that we want to change is their total classes taken. So we could do this two ways. I think I mentioned this before, but I didn't describe it accurately. We could do it when someone hits this play button, or we could do it based on, so they've hit the play button, they've gone to the class. If they leave the class right away, do we want to count that as a total practice? The Lotus Yoga one is, because as you can see, my total time is 0 minutes, just kind of browsing through this app. I didn't spend time taking a yoga class, although great idea. Sitting at a desk a lot, right? Get out there and move. Movement is medicine, as they say. Total practices is 6, so they've gone the route of just if somebody starts a video, then we count that as a practice. Whereas you could also, I think it's maybe more fair to make it so that they have to complete it, but I'm not going to worry about that. So what we want to do here then is, let's see, clear expression. I want to make changes to the current user. I just want to see if instead of equals, I can just say yoga classes taken. Okay, it adds an equals there. Sometimes you can go yoga classes taken, and then instead of equals, you can just say add 1. But to add 1, we will go to whatever that present value is, and then we will add 1. And back over here in our data, for this yoga first class taken, we will default that when a user count is created to 0. So they start at 0, and every time they click that play button, they increase their amount of classes taken. So I would like to drag this here so that the navigation is the last element. And then, great. So what have we accomplished so far? We've got a new piece of data. So we want to actually just clear all this. Okay, so we want the current users. Yoga total classes taken listed in this value. So let's go ahead and preview that, see how we did for that setup. And my top bar, I'm not sure if it's showing the same here, but it looks like got some kind of bug, so I might refresh that. Yeah, while we're looking at our work. Okay, so total practices. Let's go and run a workflow. I think that one is shorter just because it's emptier. Empty. Okay, so let's get into one of these. Let's hit play. This should run that workflow where whatever the value was for that, we've added 1 to it. So now here we see 1 as the value. And yeah, I think because the text is different. Well, let's check the Y values on those text boxes. Make sure that they're aligned at the same spot. Here in our library page. So what do we got? We got 40 for the Y position, 36 Okay, so that is a slight difference. So let's go 40, 40. Just gonna look at these settings panel, see if everything looks the same. The only thing different is that this one the left one just has a number, the right one has some text. I'll refresh and see. Maybe I'll just say one. I'll add the word classes after it, and that should fix the spacing. So total practices, total time. Total practices, total time. One class. Okay, so we'll have to do 0 minutes. So we'll do a little conditional something here. Total practices, total time. I think these should come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just see if this fixes this spacing. And then, so what I want to do is we'll have to make 2 of these for the total practices. One that says, 1 class, and one that says 2 classes. All right, so that's very odd that these identical things would be a different height. 99. How about 100? 100. Oh, they're identical because they've been copied and pasted. So again, the mysteries of Bubble. What if I delete this, I paste this one here, just for display sake. It's not what I want to show, but let's see if that solves it. Okay, let's check the responsive editor. And we are looking at the library group. Let's go ahead and minimize that. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Apply max width. Oh, okay, so let's see. So that's the issue, is that the total time one is slightly higher. So it's pushing that down. Okay, so this one we moved to 20 for the height. And this one, oh, interesting. Okay, is one of these fixed width? They are identical. Okay, perhaps that the space, there was a space here, perhaps. As you can see, little things like this, sometimes when you're building things, it feels like it's not fair, but neither is not going to, okay, yeah, that fixed it. It's not fair to not have to go and spend $100,000 on a degree or whatever, $20,000 on a coding boot camp to build an app when you can build it here. Great. So that was the issue, something with those titles. And then we want the current users classes taken, space class. So one class, 0 minutes. Looks good. You could spend time making it, just so, but good enough. And what else do we want to have happen? If we want this here to not be visible on page load, we want to give it the conditional that when the current user's yoga class is taken is less than or equal to 1. So if it's 1 or 0, we will say one class, 0 class. We want 0 classes. So if it is 1, this element is visible, and then we will just copy and paste. Plural. And take 10 off of each of these. Center horizontally. And then put that as is not 1. So if we reload that, we'll just click, we'll add another class to that. And so one class, if we go home, now the way we set this up is that if someone takes this class, the same class twice, it will add to this. So 2 classes. If we went here and we did it again, it should say 3 classes. We've got a little bit of a calculation going on there for this one. So maybe we want to I think it'll be fine for now. We're not going to worry about it now. There's some steps that could be taken. You could change that value into something different and store it as a state, perhaps. So like, when someone clicks this library group, you could have a state pulled in that's already pre-calculated or something, but we won't worry about that now. So what else is going on this page? We see exercise history. So let's build this new section. And we are going to be using a repeating group. Okay. And that repeating group is going to have these I think it created 2 for some reason. I can see those lines. Okay, so We want this to be at the 20 mark and make it 280 wide. Put this up here. Center this horizontally and maybe give it a height of at least 80. Let's go 100. 120 actually, and then let's see, are these are 100 in height, and when we look at this page, let's just glance at how thick one of those are. Okay, so yep, so these we probably want them to be 80. If we want these to be 80, then we'll leave a 20 space after in between. So the data type, we want to think for a second on that. We want a full list. We do not want any borders. One row, one column. And element visible on page load. Center horizontally. I don't know, it got bumped. Oh no, it's not 280. Okay, center horizontally. Great. So let's think. What are these? These are histories. We want to display histories. Where do histories come from? How are histories created? Histories are created when a user hits the play button, basically. Because as you can see, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute in my testing of this app, I didn't actually play, a full video. I just clicked into it, and then it recorded. It created a record somewhere, right? Like some kind of data that says, here's a history. It's associated with this user, me, in this app. This history has a title of the class, a timestamp, a time duration, and a timestamp, like Friday, March 19th. So I think it will serve us best if we create a new type of data in our yoga app called exercise history. And exercise history has a class associated with it, a yoga class, and that would be of type class. I'm trying to think, do we want a list of these? No, we do not, because there's only one for every exercise history entry. Here is an entry. Here is an entry. 3 is the yoga for spine. Number 3, further vinyasa. Number 4. Each of these is one entry, and each of these contains one class. So we do not want it to contain multiple entries. Okay. Let's think, how is one of those created? It is created when a user clicks the play button. We create a exercise history record in the database, and in that record we assign whatever that class is when that play button is hit. Is how we'll do that. So when this play button is hit, whatever class is this, we will associate that with the brand new record of exercise history that is created. A record is, just simply another item of a particular type. These are exercise histories, and a way to think about that is that, if this was a website for houses that listed a bunch of houses that were for sale or for rent or for something, and we had the type house, every time we create a house that has a price tag associated with it, square footage or square meters, every record is a house. Every record of the house type is a house. I hope that makes sense. Data stuff can be a little bit tricky to wrap our head around, but um, um, it's set up well. It's set up good here. So through that class, we can access this thumbnail. We can access the class's title, but the duration and the date that it was taken. So we need a date taken. That will be a date. We need a class duration. That will be a number, and we will create that as well. Okay, so like I said, when this play button is hit, let's go over to that play button. Although we can fill this out now that we have a exercise history here, and then we'll do a search for, well, the current user's exercise history. So we'll have to make that connection in a moment. But let's first get this data for exercise history set up. So when the play button is hit, let's go and find that button. When that play button is hit, we're doing some things, and we're going to add a new action. We are going to go to data. I think my thing is froze for a second. Okay, data. We want to create a new thing. The type of the thing that we want to create is an exercise history. We want to set the yoga classes to the parent group's yoga class. So that's associated with it. We want to set the date taken as, I believe it's just an option. The current date and time. It's just an option in Bubble because dates are used often. And the duration, we will set that later. So we created a new thing, and then when the person plays the class, they'll have to X out of the video player at some point. And when they X out of the video player, we will do another action. We will make changes to a thing. The thing we will make changes to is we will do a search for a exercise history where we want to make sure that we are able to find this exercise history, the particular one that we're working with. So we could say, hey, find something that was created like in the last, 20 minutes. But if the person has clicked on a few of these, that wouldn't work. So I think we want to set a state for back at this play button. So we want to, when we create this, we want to also element actions, and we want to set a state. We're not creating something in the database because that's not fully necessary. What we're just doing is we're just creating a temporary state of data that, okay, the person clicked this play. Let's get a refresh here. The person clicked the play. They're working in this one class. When they leave that class, we kind of want the state to, not do anything anymore. It served its purpose, right? So we want to element actions. Maybe it's data. No. Set focus. Here we are. Set state. We want to set the state of, what are we working in? We're working in the video player group. We'll create a new custom state, and that will be exercise history. Exercise history current class. Super long name, but it's very clear what that is. The value of that will be the parent yoga's class's title. You could also use, I assume that we'll always have unique titles. So you could use the unique ID as well. We'll go with class title. So now we have something to access or something to tell us when this is closed, when this is X'd out in the video. So they're done with the yoga class. And we want to make a change to a thing, which we want to make a change to that exercise history. But how do we know which one? Well, it is the one where the yoga class equals nope, we want to search for exercise, do search for exercise histories where the yoga classes okay. The thing I want to change is I want to do a search for this. Where the yoga class equals okay, so actually I don't need that state. I was able to find it. I was able to find it through or find a conditional that would find that class through this conditional statement. We want to look for the exercise history where the yoga class, because this was created when we clicked play. Now we go back and say that same class, please put the duration as timer A's duration. Class duration. These are listed in minutes. So the duration is by seconds. So we're going to divide it by 60 to get minutes. So that when it shows up here, we can say 1 minute, right? So actually this is helpful that we're storing class duration as, so then that calculation that we saw when this one loaded before whatever a split second, that would never happen here because the data, that calculation is taking place in a workflow that is kind of, off in the back room somewhere. So basically what we want to do to test this though is I'm going to leave this 60 off because that way I could just go to a class and I could put one for 10 seconds and I could put one for 20 or 5 seconds. And then as we create those, we'll see our exercise history get filled in here. So otherwise we have to wait a minute and then 2 minutes on each of those in order to, verify that we've done this correctly. So let's go back to our design. Let's fill in our details and our library group where we're working in this one. We want a group with a photo and some information. So let's do that. Again, Bubble loves to get excited about groups. Put extra. This is group exercise history. history. And this is, okay, whatever, exercise history, repeating group. This is group total practices. And this is group total time. Just keep it tidy. Okay, so we want a roundness of 10. And we want to set this to 0, 0, 280, 280. Go ahead and center horizontally, just out of habit. And then we want this to be 80 high, like I said before. And what that will do is should give us a 20 pixel space between each of these. And then get an image. Oh yeah, so exercise history. Now we need to create in our user record, create a new field. And this field name is exercise history. So we have those other, I know that I'm going to use an analogy of houses. If we use the analogy of houses, we have a data type that is houses. And every time you create a record on your website or app or something, it's like, here's a house, here's a house, here's a house, here's a house. What I'm doing in this step here is I'm saying a user, let's say they're really good at Monopoly. They have a lot of houses. So this user happens to have a bunch of houses on the site. So what I'm doing is I'm associating what houses is the user putting here on Zillow, this great Monopoly player? Well, they're putting, these houses, which are stored in this data field that I'm creating right now. But instead of houses, I hope that analogy was clear. We are doing exercise histories, and it's a list of them because this user could have a bunch of histories, right? Like in this example, me as the user in this app, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I hope that's clear. Why the decision of why use this? Although I want to name that correctly, so I keep my messy multiple app data clear. So, okay. Then we also want to make a change to, we can just use this same workflow step, that the yoga exercise histories, we want to add, oh no, wait, oh shoot, oh no. I lost my ability to do the back button because I didn't refresh something. I just deleted. What did I delete? Control Z. Yes. Okay. Almost forgot. Oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't delete that. Look at all this stuff that's in there that I would have forgotten. I would have reloaded and been lost for a little bit. Here's something that is available. So that's step 4. Wait. Okay. At what point do we create an exercise history? Okay, this is the close button. Yeah, I'm even in the wrong place. We create a yoga exercise history here in step 4. And we remember that we did not need this state setting, so we can delete that from before. Here's something that we want to do, is we want to make a change to the user. And what we want to change is their exercise history. Now here is something that I don't think we've seen before, but so we're on step 5 of this workflow. We can actually say the result of step 4, which was the creation of a new exercise history. Create a new yoga exercise history. What we created there, the result of step 4, we can add to our list of this user's exercise histories. So hope that is clear. Feel free to rewind, think about it a little bit if needed. But the reason why we need that is because the data source for this is the current user's exercise histories. So that's the list that we're using to populate this repeating group. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and reload this page so I can get this top bar back so that I would not have another potential misstep or a misclick. Good to know that Control Z works just the same as that back undo button. Okay, so I must have something going on with my browser, probably leaving your computer open for 5 days and never closing this browser tab. Let's go ahead and open in a new browser. We'll just close that. Apologize for the... Okay. See if that fixes it. So we don't have, well, I guess we have white spaces here, but we actually don't even have any records created for exercise histories, so we shouldn't expect it to show anything. I wonder... Okay, well, I'll have to do a reset later. So apologies for the sidetrack there, folks. Let's get back to our task at hand in the library group here, where we are going to be adding now an image to this. And we want this image. Okay, we are working in the repeating group. Just want to get a visual here. An image W. Okay, so this is image exercise history. And we want to see, we're working in an 80 wide, so maybe we'll do 60 by 60. And we'll use a not so often used centered vertically. And we would want 10. And we will keep that fixed width for now. See how it looks on an iPad later. Okay, so we want to give this a little bit of a rounded, probably 10 to match the roundness of the other parts. And then we want the image itself. We want to look for the exercise histories classes image. So we want to do a search for parent groups. Oh, let's see. Yep. Okay. So clear that. Let's get the parent groups. We could have done a search for it, or we could have passed the data through. I chose to pass the data through because then we can get this yoga classes thumb photo. And we'll go with rescale for now. We might do stretch or zoom later, but we've never had a really small square image like this. We've always had ones that are basically our thumb. Our thumb image right now is the size of this thumb image, so it's quite big, but it'll just get smushed down. Should be fine. We also want to drag in a class title, and we want to use parent groups, exercise histories, yoga classes title. We can, now we don't need to make this element fixed width. We will extend it out here. And let's see, this is 60, 60, 10. So I think we want this to start at 80. And we would want this to be 180. And then want to style it. What are we looking at? We're looking at a pretty bigger, bold, darker font style. So we'll try 18. Leave the line height at 1. And we could say 18, we'll say 20 just to give it a little space. What else? Make it bold. And let's just give a look, see how we're doing. And next up, we'll want to pull in, yep. So these two values of the duration and the date are associated with the exercise history record. So those will be pretty easy to pull up next. Oh, so we don't have any of those, but we could, I believe, create one just by clicking here. And then let that run. I'm going to make sure it re-loops, so I've passed 12 seconds. Yep. Okay, so I've passed 12 seconds here. And then the timer's running. I will close this. You can see there it stopped to do a little workflow things. So but perhaps there's some optimization there because that seemed a little slow. But here we go. Okay, so we've got a further vinyasa set up here. Perhaps we want this to be 170 and start at 90 to get a little bit of breathing room. And it looks like we want stretch for this value, and then grab some additional text. This is text, stats, and what we want here is what are we working with? 170, 20, 90, 13. I think we want this to be 10. And it's 20 high. So if we wanted to get 10 in between those, 10 plus 20, so I guess 40 for this start point. Make that 20 as well. Does not need to be fixed width. Make it 170. The others, mostly not because it needs to be that long, but because that helps for how things run with the responsive engine. If you give full space when you create an element, or fuller space, I should say, because it doesn't extend all the way to the end. And then I think we'll want to go 14 here at least. And what we want to be inserted here is the exercise history class duration. Now, if you remember, we space minute space, I think it's shift star, no, option star. Yep. So that's a little bullet point. I'm going to add 2 spaces because I like it like that. Oh, that didn't hold. So space minute space space option 8 space space, or alt 8 perhaps on a PC working on a Mac. And then we'll also get the parent group exercise histories, date taken, formatted as May 4th, 2020. What do they got here? Friday, March 19th. Tuesday. We'll go with that. We'll go with this the full shebang. Yep, in the user current time zone, formatted as Tuesday, May 4th. No. That's way too much. This one. Okay. So let's reload that. We should see this record still be here for the further vinyasa, but we should see it basically looking a lot nicer. Yep, great. Yeah, that looks real good. And I think we just want to make this text, let's say 25. Let's move this down by 10. So 25, let's make this 24. What happens if the title is too long? We'll make this at least a little bit longer. So there is a way to, for example, title trimmed. No, I think it's number of characters. No, it is truncated. So basically, we could do some guess in text, truncated from end to so that's like 45 characters. Let's just take a look at what that is. I think the plan would really be to look at what the longest class title is and then make the font size exact or more exact to that. But yeah, so further vinyasa, right? That's quite big. All right, the undo button is not helping. But I was just trying to give an example there. This is not something we'll need to do here. We'll stick with this title. 24 is massive. I think the jump here from 18 to 24 is quite big. I wanted something more like 20, like halfway between the two. And then let's bring this up by 5. I think. And then I want this one to be bigger as well. So I want this to be like 16. And then let's go and take a look at, I think that could be a little bit darker. Yep. But then let's go add a few more records, and then we shall say that, yep, so that looks very, very, very good. In fact, notice that their text at the top doesn't align with the top of this. There's not really any exact right answers in how to, well, I guess really good designers know. Don't listen to me on design stuff. I'm an amateur, but enough to get by. So it does seem like this could come down and say 18, and could have come down by 5. Basically just going for what looks nice. Excuse me. And then and then let's go add a few more classes, and then let's pat ourselves on the back. Yeah, so that looks fantastic. And call it good. So further vinyasa. Let's go to the beach. Okay, I'm going to end this one really soon. So let's look at, oh, interesting, 0 minute, 0 minute for that duration. I'm going to version test, debug. I think this is the right thing to say. Debugger. I want to see the value for this Okay. Oh, so this is actually how it would look on an iPad, though, because this is as wide as it goes. And guess what? Looks quite good, right? Badges. So we've got a really, really good looking profile page. We have not worked on the login sign up stuff yet. That will come at a later point in time. I want to check back to our workflow. Did I perhaps miss something when the classes preview group is started? Let's just double check what shaken here. Data to display, make changes to that user, that's something different. So we create this record, the date taken is the current date and time, the make changes to the user, we add that exercise history, and then when the video player is closed out, what is happening? We're making changes to the user for total the duration. We're making a change to the user for the classes taken. Then we're making this change. We're saying that the classes duration is timer A's duration. Evaluates to a number. And then we are displaying said number in the library. Class duration. All right, so let's go. Go ahead and take a break. I'm going to let this, I mean, you could hang out or fast forward. I'm going to let this sit here on Beach Yoga 2 for a full minute. And means we got to look at a bunch of loops going through here. We're doing good on this app. You know, one of the next things that we'll be doing is the user creation process, right? Because you'll notice back over here, or for our login sign up, we don't really have much going on there. And that if we look into, you know, just as kind of a preview of what's to come, if we look into, yes, so here we are look at all this stuff. Invite friends, change the app language, enable cellular for downloads. We don't have that. The terms and conditions, all these types of things. Feedback, contact us. The Lotus Yoga by whoever these mobile folks are. There's some integration stuff here with Apple's health stuff. These are additional features that could be added at a later time. I would think that I'm not super familiar with the health stuff. I don't have like an Apple Watch or any. I don't really use that health stuff to track anything for me personally. But perhaps a few of you are familiar with that, so you could. I think it would be safe to say that you would have a great app still if you launched without that feature. So, and the scope of this course is really just getting out an app that's acceptable, like pretty high level, right? Like folks expect a good app these days. And okay, so still 0 minutes. So something is up there. Parent groups. Okay. Let's go with these privacy rules. Let's delete that. And then let's try it. Yep, so there's a change in the bubble administration setup, in that when you're creating these new data types, it adds a privacy rule. Nope. Okay, so that was not it. So when that data is created, make a change to the current user. No, make a change to. So perhaps this is not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try a different setup. I'm going to try, let's see, make change to the current user, create a new one of these things. I am going to go back to that set of state on the video player group where this is the parent group's current yoga classes title. And then when that video player is closed out, I'm just going to change this thing. So what is the thing to change? We're going to change this one where the yoga classes equal to, nope, a yoga class where the title equals that video player. I know I just went through a lot of like levels of data searching there, but I hope it's clear that, let's see, insert dynamic data of the video player groups current. So that's that state. So it's saying, here's a class that has a title that equals the current states thing. And we want that to be returned because we did a search for a list of classes. We just want the first item, which is the class that is defined by that condition. That's the class that equals this yoga class. So use that class's exercise history and go and set the duration of that exercise history to timer A's duration. Capiche? So let's go out and try again. Now I wonder if I can create another record of the same class. So the way that it is set up is that we should be at a value of 10 for the duration, roughly. And that value of 10 for the duration should show up here. And it looks like it didn't even set that value from that workflow I set up. So we're going to go back to what was the condition before, the parent groups or the video player groups yoga class. And on the play button, we can have that state be set for now. It's fine. So let's double check a few things. Let's double check the data type for exercise history. For class duration, it is a number. Okay. So we'll give this one more try, and then if I will circle back if we are not able to have solved it with this last try. So close that out, go to the library, 0 minutes. Okay, so we didn't solve it, no worries. Come back in a future moment in time to solve that. Here, there's one last thing that we'll do because this list could get quite long, and we will grab a collapser. We'll just make a new one, actually. So pop in a group. Bring it down to the edge here. Bring it up to this edge here. Take away the color. This is group collapser. It is not visible. And when it's not visible, collapse it. So basically it should help with that. A little spacing at the bottom. And let's double check that this library group itself we want that to be collapsed when hidden, actually, because this list could be very long. Okay, yeah. So look at that great spacing at the bottom for that collapser. So awesome. So we'll collapse this one so that way if this was like 100 things long or something like that, when we click over to plans, that other thing collapses. So you can see actually this is the issue. But then if I'll show that clicking this setting here to collapse this big group. In fact, literally every group that is like one of these main outsider groups should have this collapse element when hidden. So something to take a peek, double check. So here we were on the library page. It's longer than some of the other ones. And then now it collapses so that we don't have this extra space here. So cool. Um, Great. That's it for this video. We did nail down kind of what we meant to here with giving some stats, giving the exercise history, and then I will circle back in a future video to figure out what was the deal with that duration and let you all know in the next video. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.